And on to debate number 2. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau paid a surprise visit to the Indian music sensation Diljit Dosanjh ahead of his historic sold-out concert at the Rogers Centre in Toronto. Both were seen greeting each other with hugs and smiles, and what was supposed to be a concert photo op took a political turn when the Canadian Prime Minister tweeted about his stopover for Diljit. In his post hailing Diljit's historic houseful show, Trudeau referred to him as a guy from Punjab, and diversity isn't just Canada's strength, but it is the country's superpower, he said. Now, given Trudeau's history, his guy from Punjab mention was immediately branded as deliberate mischief by BJP leaders and netizens. But the Congress accuses the BJP of making a mountain of a molehill.
मुझे लगता है एक प्रधानमंत्री को ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए। प्रधानमंत्री पद की बहुत बड़ी गरिमा होती है, उस गरिमा को उनको संभालना चाहिए था, उस गरिमा के मुताबिक उनको ट्वीट करना चाहिए था। मैं फिर कहना चाहता हूं, प्रधानमंत्री जस्टिन ट्रूडो ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया, मैं दलजीत दोसांझ को भी बधाई देता हूं, लेकिन उस काम के बाद जो ट्वीट किया है वो उनके उस काम को आईना दिखाता है, उसके विपरीत है और उनकी ये सोच अच्छी सोच नहीं है।
कनाडा में दिलजीत दोसांझ के परफॉर्मेंस को लेकर के जस्टिन ट्रूडो का ट्वीट और उसके ऊपर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के प्रवक्ता का जो वक्तव्य आया है, उसे मैं खिसियानी बिल्ली खंबा नुचे इस तरह से देखता हूं। हालांकि जस्टिन ट्रूडो के सभी विचारों से मैं सहमत नहीं रहता हूं, लेकिन यहां पर जहां उन्होंने पंजाब लिखा है, तो मैं बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता को ये बताना चाहूंगा कि राई का पहाड़ मत बनाने की कोशिश करिए। पंजाब भी हिंदुस्तान का हिस्सा है, इंडिया का हिस्सा है, ये आपको समझना चाहिए।
But here's why questions are being raised over Justin Trudeau's guy from Punjab reference for Indian singer Diljit Dosanjh. In the garb of freedom of speech, Trudeau has always given a long rope to anti-India and pro-Khalistani elements on Canadian soil. He waged a diplomatic war with India for Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He's allowed the celebration of the assassination of former Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. He's turned a blind eye to violent attacks by pro-Khalistani forces on the Indian High Commission in Canada. The list goes on. And this makes one wonder if Punjab mention was an innocuous diversity pitch by the Canadian Prime Minister or whether he had some deliberate design.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let me take this across to our guest joining us. Tuhin Sira's national spokesperson of BJP, Ramneek Maan, political analyst, is joining us. With us also is Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst. Professor Monojit Bandal, political analyst, is with us. And Vivek Srivastava, political analyst, also joins us. Let me start with you first, Tehseen. The question is this, that the BJP is objecting to the fact that Diljit was referred to just as a Punjabi, not as an Indian. Was it a deliberate provocation by Trudeau is the question over here. How do you look at it?
Can I just be honest? This is a jobless party that has nothing to do. It has nothing to speak about, perhaps zero achievements. So they are Rai ka pahad bana rahe. I mean, look yaar Madhav, you go somewhere, you say hamara Karnataka ka ladka, hamara Maharashtra ka, Maharashtra se mule gए, हमसे महाराष्ट्र से मुली, हमारे हरियाणा की छोरी. These are phrases people use. He says Punjabi ka, but he's a Punjabi, hamara proud he's making, a Punjabi is making us proud. Is Punjab not a proud of India? But even debate bhi hai kya? BJP is a master in diverting. Is Punjab in Canada? Is it in America? It's in India. He's an Indian. He went on an Indian passport.
No, but you know Trudeau's background. You know Trudeau's background. What all he has allowed, he has allowed a free run to Khalistanis who in fact put out posters which have, a target painted on several of our leaders, including the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister and our diplomats there. This is the kind of free run of Indira Gandhi, for instance, the tableau depicting Indira Gandhi's assassination. Do you agree with all that has been happened? Clearly, they have not taken enough action on these kind of extremely politically explosive, situations that have arisen there in Canada, and that's why there's a lot of concern about the intention of Mr. Trudeau and whether he is actually playing vote bank politics.
Okay, let's take one at a time. And I completely agree with you. I think Trudeau is a failed prime minister. I really believe that. Where is that credible allegations that he had for Nijjar? He's not given anything. Our government has dealt well with the Nijjar issue. I actually support our Prime Minister in dealing with the Nijjar issue. On other issues, have we broken up now complete diplomatic ties? No. The Prime Minister even welcomed him to G20, that is Prime Minister Modi. He was a part of it. Now he said something about an artist. Artist ka what has got to do with Khalistani? The shooting of the tableau on Indira Gandhi ji or other things. Who supports it? In fact, Trudeau's father was the prime minister when the bomb blast happened in the Air India plane. Kanishka bombing. We are not talking about that. Those are wrong things. But yeah, there's an artist who's performed. The Prime Minister of Canada has gone there, said he's from Punjab, he's good Punjabi talent. What is the big deal? Punjab's a part of India. The BJP takes anything to any extent.
Okay, Tuhin Sinha, respond to that. Do not connect today's incident of Diljit Dosanjh with what's happened in the past. They're completely unconnected. Why are you unnecessarily linking the two? Is the question coming in from Tehseen. Please respond to him, Tuhin.
Well, good evening, Madhav. Good evening, everybody. You know, for somebody who has been the Prime Minister of the country for nearly a decade, first of all, his comments reek of diplomatic impropriety. You know, in India, you would not refer to a Canadian singer as a guy from Quebec, as a guy from Alberta, or as a guy from British Columbia, right? Would you do that? You don't refer to Justin Bieber as the guy from Ontario. So first of all, it was diplomatic impropriety. But what makes it a little shady is Justin Bieber's history of provoking India time and again. And there are, you know, I can at
Justin
least
Trudeau's
Trudeau's
history.
Recent instances.
Not Bieber.
Please don't barge in like this. Unless you're representing.
No. You referred to him as Justin Bieber. It's just a correction.
I mean,
that's all that's happening. I assume you were talking about Trudeau.
Is he representing NDP over here? Why? Sorry?
I think you accidentally mentioned Justin Bieber. I believe you must have mentioned, you must have imagined you were talking about Justin Trudeau. That's why it's just a correction, nothing else.
No, I consciously mentioned you don't refer to Justin Bieber in India as the guy from Ontario. You don't refer to a Canadian singer as the person from Quebec or the person from Alberta, right? That's the point. Now the point is, you know, unless Tehseen today is representing the NDP, I would appreciate if he calms down while I'm speaking, the way I showed him the patient courtesy. Now the point is, you know, Trudeau has a history of provoking India, and I can tell you, you know, 3 recent instances. As recently as on 29th April, he had attended a pro-Khalistan rally where, you know, there were even provocative banners saying, you know, go for Modi. So I think, you know, and obviously he has allowed a free run for those celebrating the murder, the assassination of Indira Gandhi. We have seen how he blamed India without an iota of evidence for the assassination of Hardeep Nijjar. So all of these taken together merely show that Justin Trudeau is in the habit of provoking India time and again, and which does not behove somebody who has been the Prime Minister of Canada for the last 10 years. You know, this can't be, you know, you can't give him the benefit of doubt over here. It can't be his naivety, right?
Tehseen, would you like to respond to that?
Look, I agree with what the BJP spokesperson and my friend Tuhin says, that Justin Trudeau has a lot to answer for. And I completely agree with it. Some of it I support the government on the steps they've taken, especially Nijjar. But that, just because somebody has a lot to answer for, an artist goes, performs there, the Prime Minister, perhaps for vote bank, perhaps to win an election, he is in an election year, goes and praises the artist and says he's from Punjab, makes no sense. This is, I mean, don't we say, Madhav, hamari Haryana ki choriyon ne vishwa mein hamara naam acha kiya hai? We say it, hamare Haryana ke wrestlers, hamare Punjab ke shooters. I mean, what is going on? I mean, seriously, the BJP is the big jobless party. It's not created jobs for anybody, and I think now they are jobless themselves and they come up with this issue. Okay, I still don't understand what is the issue.
Let's avoid the name calling,
please. BJP is debating on a hypothetical intention of a Prime Minister. Big relations with him. Don't relations.
Madhav.
Okay. Yes, Tuhin wants to respond to you.
Madhav, let Tehseen trivialize it, but you have to look at the larger connect over here. In May 2022, Stalin, an alliance partner of Indie Alliance, an alliance partner of the Congress, had basically felicitated the assassins of Rajiv Gandhi. And today, you have a Justin Trudeau who supports those celebrating the assassination of Indira Gandhi. I think these acts are what make his tweet very shady. And like I said, for somebody who has been a Prime Minister for 10 years, do we need to teach him diplomatic propriety? I don't know why the Congress doesn't get it.
Okay, let me bring in fact, Vivek Srivastava on that. No, Vivek Srivastava, there's a lot of history. there's so much of history in the sense that we've actually seen the downgrading of diplomatic ties, with diplomats being asked to leave the country in the sense that India has invoked parity. The Canadian diplomats had to be pulled out. That's how bad things were a short while earlier. So someone like Mr. Trudeau should know better before he actually makes any comments, is also perhaps a statement that is, or a criticism that is valid in this context. Would you agree?
Right. See, first of all, what is the BJP trying to say? What is Mr. Tuhin trying to say? Nothing is clear. Are you against people going to Canada? Are you against the Canadian head of state praising the artist over here? Are the people who are living over here, who have relatives in Canada, should they stop going? Is the Indian government going to break all the ties with Canada? Why were people from Canada invited in G20? So the policy, the foreign policy of this government is totally unclear. You need to be very clear about what your foreign policy is. We have so many Indians, so many Punjabis, so many Sikhs who are in Canada, so many from my own college. There is a strong alumni network in Canada of my own college. Those people are not Khalistanis, and there are so many of them. So, I mean, if somebody does something very good over there and the head of the state praises him out, what are you trying to read into? So, you be very clear. Either you break the ties with Canada, or if you want to maintain the ties with Canada, then you need to explain. What is the controversy about? I don't understand. They have elections next year. They have their own electoral problems. They have their own electoral vote banks. According to that, the politicians there are reacting. It has nothing to do with us. Dalip Dosanjh is a very popular man.
I'll tell you the problem with that vote bank. Vivek Srivastava, I'll tell you the problem with that vote bank politics is that this vote bank politics is actually justifying use of violence against Indians and is openly propagating it. You wouldn't have a problem with that?
Yes. In that case, it is not for the opposition to act, and the opposition should not be questioned. The BJP, which has got a failed foreign policy, and you do not have good relations with any of your neighbors, you could not handle Justin Trudeau. You just want to say Vishwaguru, 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 and the American president comes to India in G20. You don't let him have a press conference. He goes to Vietnam and says, I question Prime Minister Modi on the human rights record in his country. So all this gimmick about...
Okay, Ramneek Ban, would you like to respond to Vivek Srivastava? He says it's a result of the failed policies of the current government at the center.
Yeah.
Would you please like to respond to him?
Madhav, I don't think in the recent history of India any foreign policy or any government has displayed more courage in presenting the foreign policy. Vivek needs to understand there's a difference between head of government and head of state. The head of state of Canada happens to be the King of England. So Justin Trudeau is but only the head of the government. So that's one. Once you say they have their own problems, to hell with their problems. How are we concerned with their problems? Why are they trying to create problems for us in our country? Why are they trying to support the separatists, the secessionists, and the terrorists of our country? The people they have been referring to, honorable citizens of their country, are designated terrorists of our country. Which side of the line are you on, Vivek? You need to understand. And when Tehseen tries to trivialize the issue, Tehseen, you need to understand. We refer to Haryana ki chori, Punjab da munda, and, Marathi, whatever, in Marathi, whatever you call. That is internally within India. We refer to our own people of different states in a different way. But when it comes to international relations, no, please don't interrupt. Let me finish. When it comes to our people, now Diljit Dosanjh, you must also note, is an honorable US citizen. All right? Now there is a massive divide that they've created between the Indian diaspora. You need to understand what Punjab is. I don't think Justin Trudeau knows what Punjab is. 60% of Punjab today is occupied by Pakistan. Why don't you discuss that? When he supports the Khalistanis, they discuss only the Punjab which falls in India. They discuss Khalistan to be a part of areas which now are part of Rajasthan, Himachal, Delhi, Uttarakhand. This is what they refer to. So he is supporting people who are supporting or who want the balkanization of India, secessionism, separatism, terrorism. So he has a history. Let me take you back in time, Madhav. His father, Perry Trudeau. Do you know when India requested him for the extradition of Talvinder Parmar, you are not responding enough to the Queen. That is what his response was. It's a continuation of an orchestrated, a designed campaign against India, which you see happening. He welcoming or he greeting Diljit Dosanjh is a great thing. I appreciate it. But at the same time, do you know what happened in Vancouver, just outside the Indian embassy? They incarcerated, apparently, Modi's picture. There was a sham trial
Absolutely.
of our
I mean, we
Prime
have
Minister
discussed this.
that
We have
can you
discussed this. I want to
support
bring in
any of
Professor Monojit on that.
And
I
he
think these are
says
some
their
very valid,
problem.
these are
It is
definitely very
our
valid
problem.
concerns. Because Professor Monojit Mandal, what comes out of this is, the simple statement that end of the day, here are people who are acting or propagating the balkanization, who are promoting separatism, who nothing is done by Trudeau. But the point is, it is such a person who's made this comment on Diljit, which the BJP says is not at all acceptable. In fact, in 2017, you would recollect that the then Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder called the Canadian Defence Minister Harjit Singh Sajjan as a Khalistan sympathizer. He even refused to meet him at that point of time. So this is not something that is new. This is something that is, and this is a key ally of Justin Trudeau we're talking about here. Professor Monojit Mandal.
What my previous speaker was stating, if even 50%, please hang on now, let me speak. If what he was speaking just, before me, if even 50% of them are true, then we should have we should not have any diplomatic ties with this government at all. Why? Why should have? Immediately you should call off any kind of diplomatic ties. In fact, we should condemn the whole of Canada. Please stop this now.
Okay,
Stop your rant.
Mr. Mann, let him make his point. You can respond to
it. You cannot do anything.
One second, Mr. Mann. Yeah.
Despite all
One by one,
gentlemen.
Let's not lose our cool. Professor Mandal, continue.
Person, if you're making these charges on national TV, which might be watched even in Canada, and if you're at the same time you are having ties with Canadian government, then you are a weak government. You are an extremely weak government. There should be any foreign minister at this point in time. He must resign. What is he doing for the last 6-7 years? If this thing is going on for the last 6-7 years, it suggests that the foreign minister and the government of India as a whole, I mean the Vishwaguru, he is an abject failure. You can't even control this small country
Professor
like
Mandal,
Canada.
are you aware of the downgrading of diplomatic ties? 41 diplomats were expelled. Is that not a sign of decisive action in your view?
I do not care. If this man was the man who spoke before me was suggesting that basically they are sponsoring terrorism in India. That's the big charge. If the Canadian government, including the Prime Minister, directly or indirectly sponsoring terrorism in India, then I mean, what are you talking about? Downgrading diplomatic ties? That should be considered second Pakistan. What are you talking about?
Okay. Tuhin Sinha is all smiles. Tuhin Sinha, would you like to respond to Professor Mandal?
That is just a facade.
It's very amusing to say the way they are saying, the way they are claiming we have not been able to handle Canada. In fact, India is the only country whose firm and decisive preemptive action has prevented Canada from going the Pakistan way. And we have done the world a lot of good. We have trimmed down, there were 41 diplomats in the Canadian embassy over here, and they could not explain what they were doing. That trimming down has happened. But yes, we cannot cut ties because there are, there are lakhs of people, Indians over there. Obviously, this is an irresponsible India alliance. They would want us to snap ties with every country and, make Indians suffer over there. We are concerned about the Indians. We have
one by one. Professor Mandal,
our diplomatic
I didn't allow anyone to interrupt you. Please extend the same courtesy. Yeah.
We have made it repeatedly. India's firm and decisive stand against Canada's support for extremist elements, has actually set a template for the world of zero tolerance towards, potential Pakistans in future. I think this is something which is being appreciated by the world. But yes, we cannot cut ties because we are concerned about the lakhs and lakhs of people, Indians staying there. The India Alliance has no concern for them.
Would you like to respond, Professor Mandal? End of the day, you have lakhs or tens of thousands of Indians there in Canada. You can't just snap ties at the snap of a finger.
Forget about snapping ties. Show me a single statement either from the foreign minister or prime minister on an international platform saying that we condemn this government and the prime minister which directly or indirectly sponsor terrorism. Show me a single
Mr.
statement
Jaishankar has
in
said
an
it several
international
times.
platform.
Sir, Mr. Jaishankar has said that this is misuse of freedom of speech. This is a
So
stated policy, this is a stated position of the government.
This government is directly, we are accusing, we are accusing the government of India, the government of India accuses Justin Trudeau and the Canadian government of harboring, sponsoring terrorism, directly or indirectly, and we condemn them. Show me such kind of a statement.
Ramnik Man, has there been no direct statement like this so far, as Professor Mandal is suggesting?
No, so it's hilarious. Professor Mandal is the Prime Minister of this country. You think the foreign policy is so weak that it will be guided by personal vendetta? You think that's the way it goes? Millions of Indians live in Canada. You think you would want to risk snapping ties with Canada because they can't control these Khalistanis within? And do you know, Mr. Mandal, hear me out. Do you know the status of Punjab if they discuss Khalistan? Where is Punjab? They've never discussed Punjab. The word Punjab never comes to their lips. They've never used the word Punjab. Okay. They always use Khalistan.
Ramnik, I want to counter you on one of the statements that you made, that he's an Indian citizen. Because Ramnik, you've said earlier in the program that Diljit is a US citizen, and in fact he has proved his Indian citizenship by sharing his certificate on income tax. Ramnik, please correct yourself. Please correct yourself on national television, because you've said something very controversial, that he's a US citizen. He has shared his income tax certificate to prove that he is very much an Indian citizen. So would you like to withdraw that comment that you made on Diljit?
No, let him come up with the Indian passport. Let's see. Filing income tax does not necessarily mean, a foreign citizen can file income tax in India. If he's earning money in India, he can file returns in India. He owes his success to India, sir. He owes his success to India.
No, of course he does. Of course he does. And he has put out his platinum certificate from the CBDT, and that's out there on social media. So I just think that's a very important thing to clarify. End of the day, he is a proud son of India and one of our top artists. So let's. I hope we have the record straight on that.
Listen, if an Indian lives in Canada, pays income tax, necessarily means a Canadian citizen. If an Indian lives in Dubai, files income tax in Dubai, although there is no tax there, but they happen to become citizens of that
I want Tehseen to quickly come in on this. Tehseen.
Let him come up with the Indian passport.
Okay. Let's quickly get in a counter view. Yeah.
Mr. Ramnik Man should know that India does not have dual citizenship. Mr. Diljit is married to an Indian US citizen. He himself carries an Indian passport. Not only as he's clarified this multiple times that he's an Indian citizen who pays taxes in India, and the platinum certificate is for Indian citizens, the Indian citizens. Otherwise, that would have been put otherwise. Now, we've called an Indian an American citizen. This is precisely the trolling that the BJP and its supporters are doing. You call somebody who's a proud son of India. First you say, why are you calling him Punjabi? Okay. Then you say he's not Indian, you're an American.
Tehseen, we'll have to call it a wrap there. Just the last point that we had to clarify, but I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this evening. Tuhin Sinha, Ramnik Man, Tehseen Poonawala, Professor Mandal and Vivek Srivastava. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.